The Matrix Radio Vision Live with DWI, live from the BXNY.
All right. As you know, we're back on Saturday again. BackTalk Cripple3030. We got Cripple3030 on deck. You got DJ Thousand there on the mixes. He was tearing it up. Came in angry about hip hop.
Facto. It's been a lot of good music out there, you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of good music, some diss records, you know, a couple albums, couple mixtapes. We out here, but you on somebody else's time, so let's get to a business.
We got my sexy co-host Nicole.
Yes, sir.
Then we got my comrade, my day one that I haven't seen in years, not months, not days, but years.
Why so long?
Because he did 25 years in prison.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? He was a hostage.
Listen. Let's not even discuss that. Let him explain his story.
He go by Chy My now. I know him as Chynillz. You know what I'm saying? Everybody knows him as Chynillz. But now he's rebranding himself as Chy My.
Well, Chy My is a combination of two names. It's Chinaman, a.k.a. Chynillz, and my government, which is Myron. So, I mean, it's a lot of different spins on China out here, and you know, me just coming home.
Talking to the mic so we can hear you louder.
Okay.
Move the chair.
You know, me just coming home. Hold up, I got it. All right. Me just coming home, my name being China is difficult because a lot of females, you know, they have that name now. You know, when I went in, it wasn't too many Chinamans. It wasn't too many Chinas. I come home, that name is associated with strippers and female wrestlers and all of that. So I couldn't go with China.
Right.
Chinaman been my name since I was young. So it's Chinaman, a.k.a. Chynillz, a.k.a. Chy My, a.k.a. the people of the state of New York versus Myron Dukes.
You got a lot of names.
But as everybody knows, names don't come from us. Names come from your hood or your society. They come from things that you've done. People actually call you what you display yourself as. That's why people call you also comrade, because you've been carrying yourself with loyalty since day one. I remember you from 1992 when we was like 15, 16 years old, running around in the prison system like we were grown adults. You know what I'm saying? Doing what we had to do to survive in there. You know what I'm saying? And since day one, as you know, we can ask anybody in the streets, anybody anywhere. You know what I'm saying? You've always kept that same characteristic of being real, being loyal, you know what I'm saying? And being true to your ethics and your morals. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I said that they also call you comrade because of that. And that's what the hood, that's what the hood, or you know, the prison or whoever you call that's around your neighborhood has labeled you as. That's because of that.
And first of all, I want to say I appreciate that, and I appreciate the fact that you acknowledge that, because I'm being told that loyalty is like a lost virtue out here.
It damn sure is.
That's a pure fact.
It damn sure is.
That's a pure fact right now.
And I'm not going to say that, you know, I'm the perfect loyalist, but I start with this. My pops named his first son after himself. He named his second son, which is me, after his best friend. So if you think about that, how many people do that in this day and age?
That's a fact.
They'll name their son after their best friend. So I'm saying maybe my pops, you know, I don't know if he had that vision at that time, but to me, I always looked at it like, if my pops named me after his best friend, then he really felt, you know, that man to be a comrade. So that's what I represent. I mean,
right.
One thing you'll never ever hear about me is I never crossed none of my comrades, never.
No, and I can say out of my own experience. I mean, how is it that you can be apart from your comrades for years, right? You go to one jail, another one go to another, never see each other for like 5, 6, 7, 8 years, but yet still go back with each other and be like, yo, like nothing ever happened.
I've actually asked him that exactly. How do y'all go about doing that? You haven't seen each other in 5 years. Like, you guys haven't seen each other in how long? Realistically, today.
Today,
And besides, like, what, 25, 30 minutes ago when you came
No, it
walking
gotta
in?
be like what? At least 13, 15 years.
15. Now, last time I saw you in the box, we
Yeah, it
was
was
in
in
Southport.
Southport. It was in Southport together.
So it's
That
been,
was like 2005 or something like that.
God, that's 12 years.
and then y'all just come walking up to each other like y'all just seen each other yesterday. Yo, what's up? You know what I'm
Now,
saying?
I'm gonna tell you this, right? You know how back in the days, like in the ancient times, you had sailors that they traveled through. You know, they travel by way of ship.
Right.
So, if he was a sailor and I was a sailor, and we met on a certain continent, and then years later, we see each other on a different continent, the first thing they did with each other, they acknowledged that they were equally blessed to, you know, be alive and to have survived traveling from one coast to another. Now, we didn't do a lot of traveling, but the voyage and our journeys, serious. I mean, no matter how people want to downplay it, entering Rikers Island in the early 90s, that was a serious time. I mean, and it's historic because Rikers Island doesn't allow some of the things that they allowed back then. And it was like it was an environment of violence. They created that. And maybe they didn't do it intentionally, but after they recognized it, they allowed it. You know what I'm saying? So that's where we come from, and that's part of how I was molded.
No, and that is a fact, because how many people we've seen, they get there, they 15, 16 years old, and yeah, they've done dirt in their past, because obviously they must have did something to be there. You know what I'm saying? Or, you know, unless they was innocent or whatever it is. But most of the time they have done something, but they become monsters to survive. Because if you don't become a monster, you get trampled over. You know what I'm saying? We know that. You know what I'm saying? What you had to do, you had to be, you ended up becoming like a leader on both scales. In other words, a leader in what you wanted to do with your path and what you arguing and you know and your causes, but then also a leader in essence in what the Rikers Island labeled as predicates and so on and so forth, because these are things you have to do to survive in there. You know what I'm saying? Because if you don't become a wolf, then they treat you like a sheep, right? And then if you become a sheep, then you know it's gonna be real worse off for you in there. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of people have been forced to do that in there. You know what I'm saying? Some people may not have wanted to become that much of a beast.
Nah.
You know what I'm saying? They probably would have been okay with just chilling in their cell and, okay, well, let me do my time. I'm going to go home. I don't want to get out and fight all the time. I don't want to have to do this and do that. But the system itself makes you do that.
Okay, well, I want to say this, right? So we could put this in the context, right?
Talking to the mic.
So we could put this in a context, right? Rikers Island C-74 was a small building where you had adolescents that were accused of certain crimes. It had to be a felony. And they came from every borough. So you had adolescents coming from Brooklyn, Bronx, Manhattan, Queens, Staten Island. And then you put them in one building. The phone is free. The phone, all you got to do is press 9 and your area code and number straight through. The phones are on 24 hours a day. Whatever clothes you have on, those are the clothes you walk into the house with. Whatever jewelry, whatever it is you have on, that's what you walk in with. So you go adolescents, supposedly, gangster adolescents from every borough, free phone, their own clothes, own jewelry, razors, a little bit of smoke. What's going to happen? I mean, add all that together. What's going to happen?
Becomes like a jungle. Becomes like a jungle. Especially when you add in the fact that, you got the COs, they really, they get entertained by that. So they actually okay with everybody just tearing each other up and doing all of that because they don't really care. They bored themselves and they want to be entertained by it. So if you add that to the fact there's no order, No, the only order that comes from it is what the prisoners do themselves.
Now we gonna talk about that definitely in the future. All of this has to be, exposed for what it was. I mean, nobody could say, "Yo, you telling on this? It's over and done with, man."
Right.
That Rikers Island is closed, but they definitely fostered an environment of violence because sometimes by somebody getting cut, and back then we would call it blasted, touched,
Right.
whopped, or whatever it was. When you rip somebody, it meant overtime sometimes.
Yeah.
So sometimes they would encourage that to get overtime.
Right.
So now we being used.
That's a fact.
We being thrown in pits to fight and
Just like back in the days, what they used to do in the olden days. They had the arenas in Rome and all of that. And what the kings and the queens and the royal armies and everything, they would sit up there and they would watch you.
right.
They say, okay, let's see who survives.
Yes.
Only the strong survive. How many times have you seen one prisoner cut another prisoner, and the COs know about it, but yet they house them together because they want to see if they come out. You know what I'm saying? I'm not mentioning no names. How many times we've been at war with certain people, and then they said, no, y'all gotta go to rec together. No, the whole building already know that there's a war going on, but yet they said, nah, y'all gonna go together. How many times have we been on one side of a mod, know that we have beef with the other side? I know when I was in Mod 9, we had beef one side against the other. What the COs used to do when they be mad, they said, nah, you know what, we're gonna move half of this mod to that side, and let's see who survives. You know what I'm saying? How many times it's been done? So many times, it's crazy, we lose count.
I'm gonna say this, right? I'm from Bridgeport, Connecticut. That's my home, that's my hood, that's my roots. I caught my case in Manhattan, in Washington Heights.
Right.
So I was accused of a double homicide that I didn't do. I didn't even commit one.
Right.
So now I got the stigma of a double homicide. I'm coming from Connecticut to New York. They dropping me in the middle of C-74. But what people didn't know was a few months before that, I had got hit up. I got shot in my right leg, and it broke my femur in half. So I was handicapped. So you dropped me in the middle of C-74, and I'm pretty much handicapped.
Right.
What it made me do, it made me use my mind.
Right. And it was really effective because the reality, just to paint a picture for them, because we know what it was, but to paint a picture for them, it was like, and there was first of all, it wasn't about gangs back then. It was more about where you from. You know what I'm saying? This house was Brooklyn, this house was Harlem, this house was Queens. Maybe
BX.
you had some SI in there somewhere.
Oh, yeah,
You had the
HBO.
BX, right? But then on top of that, it wasn't about giving free passes to nobody because I don't care who you was raised with. I don't care. You could know the top dog in the whole place. They themselves wanted you to defend yourself before they did anything. So
Yes.
every person that had their respect back then had to be able to defend themselves or be willing to in the very least. You know what I'm saying? Before they had any help.
Okay, now look.
But now you didn't fall in any of those 5 boroughs. So that was like double. That was like even more difficult for you because you didn't fall in any of those 5 boroughs. No, none of those houses would you be welcomed in, pretty much, because you was an outsider from the jump. Because you came from Connecticut, you didn't come from the 5 boroughs.
Well, first I want to say that it's been people that were put in my life from the time I entered Rikers Island that taught me, they helped guide me, they protected me. You know what I'm saying? But it all starts with the individual you are.
Right.
So they had to feel my energy and my spirit. And it was Cisco, it was Shadow, Wild Dave, Lake, Spank, down to even World,
Right.
Fruit, Kaka. We could keep naming and Don, Corleone. and if our friends, and if I forgot to name somebody, please forgive me. Sterl, Job, but different people from the 5 boroughs got put in my life. Like, we could talk about how we got introduced.
Right.
We go through so much, but look how we connected. We went up north, or I went up north before you.
Right.
You wrote to me
Right.
while I was up north.
That's
you know
a
what I'm
fact.
saying? So this is a journey. We start off on Rikers Island. I get sent upstate first. I got a life bid. All the people around us are hearing, yo, Chynillz got a life bid. He was one of the few that took the time out to write me on his own accord. Yo, bro, I heard I'm about to come up there. I got this and this.
What year did you guys meet?
92.
1992.
1992.
Yep.
Yep.
C74.
How old were you at the time?
I just turned 17.
So he's a little bit older. He was a little bit older than you at the time. Or
No,
you still
actually, I was 16. I was about to turn 17. A few months.
So you guys are a couple months apart.
Right.
Oh, okay. So how did it feel being locked up at 17 though? Honestly.
That's another thing. I'm glad that we have the platform to talk about this now.
Right.
You got Khalif Browder, right? Everybody is now paying attention to how adolescents were treated on Rikers Island because of the Khalif Browder story.
Right.
And that's a story that, you know, I appreciate Hov for standing behind and standing next to, because what it did is it showed the world how adolescents are treated, especially in C74 on Rikers Island. And when you treat young people like that, you turn them into monsters. And some people handle it differently. You know, some people, they get animalistic. Some people, they cower. And then you got some people, they get suicidal. You understand what I'm saying? But
Right.
these are all because of traumas inflicted because they were supposed to be housed pending trial. But they were placed in situations where they got abused. Bottom line.
And then actually I was talking to somebody off camera before we even came on air, that it was ironic because we were 16, 17, right? I got a stepdaughter that's 16. I got a stepson that's 12. I got another stepson that's 19. And I look at them and I be like, yo, damn, you see how small they are, right? And you see how young they are? They in high school, they in junior high school. And it's like, we was supposed to be in high school, in junior high school, but yeah, we running around with ice picks and razors and having to defend ourselves against COs with sticks and shields and boots. And they
Gas.
willing to stomp us out. And I was like, damn, if I was a parent and those were my children, I would go ballistic. Like, wait a minute, my kid is in high school. He's a high school age kid. But yet he's getting pounded on. Like we could go into the stories about the one main Bing riots. And you know what I'm saying, the Law Library riots and all of that, where we had to fight and defend ourselves against the COs just because we wanted our rights. Just because we wanted what was rightfully ours, our rec. You know what I'm saying, our in the Law Library. The right to fight for, you know what I'm saying, to fight and defend ourselves in the court system. You know what I'm saying? And it never dawned on me then until I came home and I seen the age of these kids. And like, yo, damn, that was me. That little pipsqueak that's walking down, that was me. That was my peoples. That could have been China there. That could have been Shadow over there. That could have been Rage over there. You know what I'm saying? And we was all fighting like we were men. And we was getting beat on like we were men. You know what I'm saying? And that it just makes me go crazy in my mind, like, yo, damn, I'm in awe of how the fuck that some of us could survive that. Because some of us can and some of us didn't. You know what I'm saying?
I'm glad, brother, and I'm proud of the fact that you even created a forum like that where you could say something like that. Because trust me, now it's like everybody's paying attention to it now.
Right.
Okay, that's beautiful. Let's correct it, right? And then acknowledge how long it's been going on also.
That's a
Because
fact.
it's still trauma. It's still people hurt
Yep.
from those days. Right now, it's illegal. It's unconstitutional to put a 16 or 17-year-old in solitary confinement. That's against the law. But you know what? They used to put us in there for a whole year. So now you telling me that it took y'all 25 years to realize it was wrong to keep a 16 or 17-year-old, right?
They couldn't go to school. They couldn't get educated. They couldn't go to the law library, which is their direct right to defend themselves in the court system, to assist in their own defense, right? And that is a right that even the Department of Corrections have stated that is a right of ours.
Now, you want to hear the irony and all of that? They still let us go to commissary and buy Newports.
Right. That is
So how the fuck you gonna tell a young man that he's a juvenile 1 minute, 16, 17, you can't drive, you can't watch porn, you can't go to the military, you can't vote. But as soon as you commit a crime in New York State, at that time, they automatically prosecuted you as an adult.
right.
Automatic. So now, we're on Rikers Island, C-74, 16, 17, and 18. 16, 17, you could go to commissary and buy Newport cigarettes. They give it to you right there. So it took a lawsuit years later to demonstrate that y'all didn't see something was wrong with that picture.
And what bugs me out a lot is that some of these kids that were traumatized back then, right? Had they been treated differently, had they been treated within their rights, right? Maybe they would have went to the court system, got sentenced to their little YOs or whatever it is that they were supposed to, right? Because they were supposed to, right? Youthful offenders, right? Which is 3 years or something like that, right? Depending on what the crime is. And then maybe they would have came home, they would have learned their lesson, owned businesses, became doctors, became whatever it is, and put that all behind them and did something. But a lot of times, because they wasn't treated that way, some of them are still stuck in the prison system. Some of them went and they caught repeated charge after charge after charge because they had to survive and they had to keep up this image that was actually instilled in them because of their environment. And now they're stuck in there. You know what I'm saying? You had numerous individuals, not mentioning names, but you had individuals that they get sentenced for 3 to 9. And they go in there and they cut one person the wrong way. Now they got 25 to life. You know what I'm saying? Now they stuck in there. Now they can't come home and do anything. You know what I'm saying? Because now they're in the prison system forever. You know what I'm saying? Just to paint a picture for the viewers, just picture it like this. Imagine your high school child, right? A high school child that he's going to school every day, but then he commits one mistake on his way home, and then they move him to another high school where he can never come home, right? And the security guards is beating on him with sticks, and they give him these razors, they give him these ice picks, and they put him in this house and say, listen, it's a status symbol for you to have this phone. You gotta have time on this phone. If not, you're a sucker, right? You gotta fight for your rights because you're either gonna do that or you're gonna wash other people's clothes, or you're gonna get robbed for your 1 or 2 pair of pants that you got. You know what I'm saying? Your family's gonna forget about you because you are out of the loop. So now you gotta go run around and try to find people that you could call to try to seduce them. In other words, to be your friends and to be your lovers or whatever it is, in order for them to survive in there. And this is what's happening to the high school kids. Because technically that's what we were. We were high school age kids. You know what I'm saying? This is the point that everybody always try to block. When they talked about people in Rikers Island or in the prison system, they talk about us like we trash. That's how they talk about it. Oh, they monsters. They deserve this. But what everybody fails to realize, especially when you was in Rikers Island, everybody was innocent before proven guilty, according to the law. So technically, nobody did anything wrong yet because they were not convicted yet. You know what I'm saying? But yet they was in there, they would succumb to all these traumas. And now these are the same kids that some of them are stuck in there, or they stuck in their own mind Because even if they came home with the same image, and they still repeatedly and keep going back to jail for the same thing, because they think that that's all they can do now, and it's a trauma that's long. How you say, it's long lasting.
Okay, let me bring it to the circle for you. As I was listening to you speak, I realized that the system pretty much tried to destroy a whole generation of New York City teenagers.
It did.
And the reason why that's deep, because if you think about what you just said, if we were punished or we received a sentence that was commensurate with the crime or the act that we committed, then, you know, it's room for redemption, early redemption.
Right.
But since they didn't acknowledge us as adolescents and as juveniles, they acknowledged us as adults. That's how they treated us, bro.
That's a fact.
Now, this is what needs to be understood right now. Okay. It took Governor Andrew Cuomo, to pass a law in 2017 where 16 and 17-year-olds in New York State could no longer automatically be prosecuted and tried as an adult. They have to be recognized as juveniles. And because it's the right thing to do, you know what I mean? It was unconstitutional, it was cruel, it was unusual, it was illegal for so long. And then as I researched and as I studied, because that was one of the issues that freed me, you know, I realized that whoever passed that legislation, it had to be rooted in some type of racism. It had to, because no other civilized nation or society just automatically casts away the young people, especially the young men, the way they did us. Now look, facts. They like to talk facts. I was convicted in 1993. Let's count how many young men were forced to trial, were convicted of Class A felonies, and received long life sentences like they were adults. Let's talk about that, and then talk about the ones that received adult sentences that were substantial, where, like you said, if you would have gave them, or if you would have gave them an alternative, that man could have been great.
Right.
But you know what? What's beautiful about our situation in our time right now, no matter how much we suffer, we still could show society, we could show the system that no matter how much you try to torture me, no matter how much you try to abuse me, I'm gonna still show you I'm great.
Right, that's a fact. Now, you mentioned something that I kind of disagree with, right? Mm-hmm. You said it had to be born in racism, right? But what I believe, my personal opinion is that it was more of a classism, because everything is about money.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm a true believer in the fact that the middle and the higher class especially tend to kick the lower class to the side, right? And by the lower class, I mean, but you know, I was raised with no TV in my house. You know what I'm saying? I was raised with a single mom who was also using drugs. You know what I'm saying? That I had to stay in friends' houses every now and then because we was homeless. You know what I'm saying? So on and so forth. So I'm part of that lower class. So then when they put me in that system, they, in their eyes, I was just another lower class teenager. You know what I'm saying? That, okay, oh well, we'll lose him. Who cares? He's going to be nobody because he doesn't have anything, right? His family, he doesn't come from a well family, so his family's not going to do anything for the system. So who cares if they lose? You know what I'm saying? That's my belief. You know what I'm saying? I don't believe in it, that it's racist. I believe that it's classism. Because, especially to the powers that be, everything is about money.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? They love money. That's what everything is about. They don't care what color a person is if they pay the taxes that's needed. You know what I'm saying? They pay the money if they're beneficial to them, in other words. If they don't benefit from somebody, they don't care. You know what I'm saying? Because they do that to the white, they call the white trash. They do it to all different kind of races. The only thing is that they just don't have the money to put them in that category that they like to treat better.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna tell you. Now, I agree with you to an extent, but the reason why I said that particular law, or that particular rule of law that was enacted, it was rooted in racism, was because I had to do deep study on it.
Right.
Now, it was only 2 states left that automatically prosecuted 16 and 17-year-olds as adults. It was New York and North Carolina. Every other state had automatically acknowledged that if a 16 or 17-year-old committed a crime, they're juvenile. Not saying that they can't be transferred to adult court if the act is heinous, but we must first recognize and acknowledge that they're juvenile. That's that. Then from there, if we're going to transfer them to adult court, it's a proceeding, it's a hearing. Now, New York just passed a law this year saying we acknowledge that we were wrong and we're going to start following that procedure. Now, when did this start happening? That's the question. When did they start looking at young teenagers like savages, like, you know, they're incorrigible?
No, and it goes way back.
I'm going to tell you, no.
Yeah.
I did the research, bro. They start trying to work the Willie Bostick case. Now, if anybody is familiar with New York, you know about Willie Bostick. Willie Bostick is like a landmark decision, landmark case where a young man committed a serious crime and they tried to make it seem like it was in his genetic DNA because his grandfather was a murderer, his father. They traced the bloodline and attached or, you know, bridged connected all the cases. And they tried to make it seem like it was in his genetic code that he had a propensity to commit violence because of his genetic makeup. So they say, yo, you know what? At 15, he killed people. We can't really do too much because he's a juvenile. But if we change the law, now we could treat these juveniles, these animals, as adults. And when they passed that law, everybody that said yes, everybody that passed that law was a white man. Stop playing with me. That's rooted in racism. Because when they passed that law, they wasn't thinking about it affecting their own. They were thinking how they were going to get the young Black Latino teenagers in New York in line. If that meant punishing them to the extent where it could be considered torture, so what? They was going to do it.
No, but let's look at it like this too. Even if they went according to the law that was in effect, right? Do you know that when you're 16, you're supposed to be sentenced as a YO,
right?
A youthful offender. I got locked up when I was 16. How old were you when you got locked up?
17.
All right, I got locked up when I was 16 in October. Right, my birthday is in November. They said that because it was only 1 month away, that they was gonna charge me as an adult. Right, you know, just so they, I'm pretty sure you do know, but so they can know, a YO, youthful offender, the max they could be sentenced to is 3 to 9. It's 3 years to 9 years, right? I got sentenced to 4.5 to 13.5, and that was after I was facing 8.5. I was facing 8.30 to 25. You know what I'm saying? And I went and I copped out so that I could make sure everybody was all right, right, on my team. In other words, right? Because I went and I took the weight. But the point of the matter is that I wasn't even supposed to be facing that. I was 16 when I got locked up. So if they only followed their law, then I would have been sentenced to max after trial and everything else 3 to 9. That's not even a plea deal, because a plea deal would probably came out with less. Now, if I know that if it happened to me, I'm pretty sure that there was a whole lot of other people that was caught up in that. You know what I'm saying? And so even if they didn't pass the laws that would acknowledge that we were young, why ignore the laws that are there from the jump? So in other words, we were fucked up from the jump. From the jump, no matter what, even if they went according to their own laws, right? We would have had it better than the way they did it, because they ignored their laws, just like they ignored their procedures. When you got locked up, what was your main right when you were getting incarcerated? To assist in your defense, right? What is the hardest thing to do when you get to Rikers Island? To get to the fucking law library.
Yeah, they make it difficult.
To get to the law library, to get something current, to get good materials. These is all hard. What you get, a bunch of Rexo copies, a bunch of copies of books that are outdated. You want to get the up-to-date shit, you got to get on a waiting list, and maybe you'll get it in a few weeks, maybe after your court date. You know what I'm saying? So you didn't even have a chance to assist in your defense. You know what I'm saying? So it's like all of that is just that alone messes it up for it doesn't allow it to be an even playing field, which is what the laws are supposed to provide. You know what I'm saying? And we're not even talking about them passing new laws. We're talking about just go according to your current law. And they couldn't even do that. You know what I'm saying? And it doesn't fail to astound me today that if you look in the news, if somebody in high school gets spanked on by their teacher, right? So if somebody of 17 years old gets smacked by their teacher, right, with their open hand, the whole world is at an uprising if the principal doesn't do anything about it. Let's say the homeroom teacher came and smacked the 17-year-old in the face in front of the whole class, and then the principal came down, and then he did it again in front of the principal, right? And then the principal said, "Nah, we're not gonna discipline the teacher. The teacher wasn't at fault. The student was at fault." There would be an uprising. Every parent in the world would be calling for their heads, right? Now, let's go into our example. In prison, if a CO came, which is the same age as this teacher, came and smacked this 17-year-old in the face in front of the whole house, right? And then the deputy warden came down, or the warden came down, and he did it again, and then the warden says, "Nah, we're not gonna discipline the officer because the officer wasn't at fault, but it was the prisoner." Nobody out here would say a peep. You understand? Same situation, right? Same situation, because they're not criminals yet. Because they're still innocent. They have not been convicted.
Right. Okay,
So
I got you.
You understand what I'm saying?
I got you.
They're not criminals. They
Right.
were not convicted yet.
Right, I got you.
Right?
They're
So they're
still
supposed to-
detainees.
Exactly. So they're supposed to be treated as if they're still innocent. The same way as that kid that was in high school that got smacked by the teacher in the same example. But yet there's no uprising. Nobody says anything. Nobody cares.
Okay.
The way that things have worked out now, I mean, when you guys first went in to now, in reality, stuff like that does happen, but they find ways to turn it against you. I'm gonna give a 2-minute. Before I got with my husband, I actually had something like that happen to my son. At the time, he was 10, not 12. And they actually, there was a fight in the classroom. They went and grabbed up my son. The way that I raise my kids is if I don't put my hands on you, nobody else does.
Right.
If I don't yell at you, nobody else does. And they grabbed up my son because the fight occurred in the classroom. 2 other kids, the book hit my son. My son stood up. So because he stood up, they grabbed up my son. Why are you touching my son? So my son, get off me, get off me. He ended up kicking them. The 2 teachers that grabbed up my son. The teachers got hurt because of my son in defending himself. They called me, telling me, "Oh, your son was being disrespectful, da-da-da-da-da." I get down there. He's like, "Ma, they were fighting. They hit me with a book. Look, he got the knot on his head." But they're yelling at me that my son want to hurt these 2 teachers, 2 grown adults, put these 2 teachers out of work and everything. Long story short, they threatened to arrest my son at 10 years old, saying that he beat up 2 teachers. So I said, okay, you know what? Precinct's right there. Come on, we all gonna walk over there because I'm pressing charges on both of the teachers for grabbing up my son. They didn't want to do all of that. But their way of getting back at me for threatening them was calling ACS on me. So when ACS came to my house, I gave them the whole lowdown about what happened. They talked to my son by himself. They talked to all my kids and everything. Exactly what I told them was gonna happen in my house. My kids are spoiled riding. The teenagers, they cleaned up their own room. They found nothing on my behalf. They actually found something against the school. They found out the principal called ACS and about 30 other parents in the school. He all for the same thing, neglect, abuse. They, you know, he called ACS saying I smacked my son. That's why ACS didn't come to my house, not for what happened in the school. But ACS went, you know, and did an investigation or whatever. They obviously found out that my case was closed in like a month or whatever it is. But they wanted to arrest my 10-year-old. For that. Can you imagine 10 years old beating up 2 teachers?
See, what I tell you right now, I'm happy and I'm grateful to be home right now in a political climate like this right here. You know, it's a climate of awareness right now. It's a climate of sharing information. So a story like that, you know, it probably would have never been heard. You know what I mean? A few years ago.
You know what's crazy? I don't really tell anybody stuff like that, but he obviously knew before I got with him. But it was just a prime example of how the system ends up trying to turn it against you in the long run. And I mean, even ACS had a big problem with them. The principal got fired and everything. Like, I brought it to the Department of Education, everything. Like, don't play with my kids.
But you're aware. You are aware. You know what I'm saying? Right now, we got a lot of people that are aware. They're conscious. They're alert. So you don't have to be a paranoid schizophrenic to be aware and alert. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm about. I'm about sharing my awareness, I mean, enlightenment and things like that.
How do you go about doing that on a regular basis?
Well, first of all, me coming home, I had to connect with my family, my immediate
Your structure,
family.
yeah.
I had to, because I was gone. I was snatched away from my family for one day, and it turned into 25 years. You know what I'm saying? So my family was traumatized also. And I got a 25-year-old daughter. And when I went away, I didn't even know her mother was pregnant. So now from that to 25 years.
Did you ever see your daughter when you was locked up?
Oh, yes.
Okay. So
My
you found out
daughter-
after you was already incarcerated?
No. I was already under arrest when I found out my daughter's mother was pregnant. And then from there, I never returned home.
How did your daughter feel the most? Like, she was the one that you had to connect with the most, right?
Yes, we still connecting, but you know, that's my most beautiful creation. And I'm grateful every day that I'm, you know, provided the opportunity to just reintegrate, you know, into my community, into my family, my community, and then, you know, into the world. But what I was saying about the climate is
now people are paying attention.
Yeah, because right now you got everybody saying free Meek Mill, free Meek Mill. I love that. You know why? Because when you say free Meek Mill, if you got anybody that's associated with you that's in the system, I hope you're saying free them also, or at least trying to do something for them. So now, me and you here, that's one of the most important messages, is that we're products of the system, bro. Hate it or love it.
Right.
And somehow, some way, we all have somebody that's connected to the system.
Right.
My motto is this: love your people. Show them support while they down. You don't have to reach out to everybody, because, I mean, we can't reach everybody. But make sure you remember people that deserve that love, deserve that support, deserve that loyalty.
Right.
A little letter, pictures, a little $20, $25, whatever it is.
Right.
Trust me, that's so effective, because now me coming home, I could bump into somebody and feel, you know, the energy is different because you wrote me a letter.
Right.
You sent me money. He sent me packages. She sent me pictures. Little stuff like that help me become who I am now.
Right.
And you know what? Put me in any room with anybody out here, they're gonna respect my intelligence.
And the thing is that we was talking about the negative parts about Rikers Island, right? But there are some positive parts that could come out about that, right? Mm-hmm. People say that you have to go through different experiences to meet different people from different areas, right? Rikers Island forced us to do that. For example, you were forced to meet people from 5 boroughs that you might not have never come across them before.
That's right.
Because you probably would have traveled if I'm not saying that I'm glad you got incarcerated and everything, but if you didn't get incarcerated, you probably would have just traveled back to Connecticut. You probably would have never seen these people. Right. Probably would have never met them. You know what I'm saying? And you probably would have went in a cell and did whatever you was meant to do. However, you would not have been with these circle of friends. You know what I'm saying? So technically, we were forced into an area where we had to network in some way, form, or fashion. And, it just so happens that the strong, you know what I'm saying, the strong-minded, strong-willed, you know what I'm saying, that we ended up mingling with those that were also strong-minded and strong-willed as us. And we ended up having still that connection now. You know what I'm saying? Like, me and you are still connected. Me and Shadow still connected. Me and Wild Dave is still connected. You know what I'm saying? Matter of fact, Franz just called right before the show went on. You know what I'm saying? From prison. You know what I'm saying? He just called me.
That's heavy.
You know what I'm saying? So we was able to still stay linked. And I always brag about this because this shows that our bond was a lot stronger than what even the system could put up against us. Because what I was alluding to in the beginning when we first started the show was that we can be apart for 5 years, 10 years. You'll be in one jail, I'll be in another. However, I could still send you a letter tonight and be like, yo, have my wife send it to you and listen, this is what happened, this and that. And you would feel the same hurt as I would feel because you be like, yo, that's my friend. You know what I'm saying? That's my comrade. You know what I'm saying? And regardless.
And I'm helpless.
Right. And then regardless of the fact that we were apart so long, the bond is still stronger than ever. You know what I'm saying? Just like what my wife has said, like we ain't see each other in 12 years, but when we see each other, it's like nothing. Like, yo, that's still my comrade. No matter what.
Because you know why? Because once you build a bond, as long as the individual doesn't do anything to intentionally break that bond,
right? When
you see each other, it'll be an evaluation process, where y'all fill each other out. But the love is supposed to be there, right there in the roots, and it's supposed to be a situation where it'll grow stronger now. You know what I mean? Because it endured time.
Your bond is, you guys' bond is pretty strong. Just before you came out, well, maybe a little bit quite before you came out, I actually was with Shadow and Dave and him together. And I've never seen him smile so much. Like, we must have sat in White Castle, I don't know, like 4 hours that day. Just listening to them, me and Shadow's wife off to the side playing with the baby while they were just...
But, you know what? Let me say this, right? What we understand is this. When we used to talk in jail and in prison, it was all a dream. That's dead real shit. When you talk, you could say, yo, I'm going to do this. Yo, I'm going to do this. Yo. People don't want to hear that in prison. So sometimes you keep your dreams and your visions to yourself, or you share it with the people that are closer to you, the closest to you.
Yeah.
But prison is not a very healthy environment to dream and visualize, especially openly. So now we share our visions with each other there, and then you actually get to be out here with people and see them living a life happy, free, and all of that. That's a dynamic energy, and people are starting to pay attention to it now.
Yeah, they were talking a lot about how, oh my God, yo, you remember this is back in the day, and I used to be like, damn, you know what I'm saying, like trying to fill in the little pieces in my mind through their conversation. Oh, you remember when you said you were gonna do this? And him just living the dreams that he's dreaming, that he's living now, and everybody having their kids and y'all stories, and I mean, it's sometimes memorizing watching you guys all get together and talk. I mean, I haven't got all 4 of y'all.
I see that.
But I've been there.
Okay. I'm just I definitely want to say this. Me and him together today our forum is, comrades, where we met, C74, and what type of message we have for today. First and foremost, I want to say that everybody that's coming out the system is not real. I mean, we're going to say that. Just because a dude say, I came home, I did this much time and all of that, that don't make them official. A person should be judged on their merit, who they are. Now, am I the type of person that I'm going to be chasing every criminal case out here trying to find out who's an informant and what they did on their case? No, I'm not out here for that. However, I do have an issue with people that did things in their past trying to front like they didn't do it. You understand what I'm saying? Or trying to bury that. If you did do it, you got to live with that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Own up to it.
Own up to it. You could correct it. Some people are in a situation where they could actually help redeem something that they did wrong, So it's not all lost. However, I don't like when a person did something and they know it's foul, then they out here fronting, masquerading. And I believe that I'm not the only one that's feeling like that, because a lot of people are sharing that same sentiment with me. Like, yo, you know what? You don't have to be perfect, but just be honest and be real. You know what I mean? We all accept that.
And everybody that you guys are around, that you talk to or associate with now, I guess outside the comrades, you still, there's still people that you talk to, right? Other than the immediate people, your immediate comrades.
What you mean?
Outside Dave and Cripple, is there other people that you're still in contact with that you've known for years?
Oh yes. I'm gonna tell you, like he named friends. I got people that are trapped right now, and I'm never gonna rest easy until they free. I'm talking about they were with me in that circle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And there's some people that I love that weren't with me in that circle, and they have forever. I'm not gonna sit here and act like I could free everybody and I'm a hero and I'm captain. I can't do everything. I can't save everybody, but trust and believe. I want to instill that spirit, in everybody I'm around, that we could reach back and we could grab somebody, we could support somebody, we could save somebody. And that right there, that's powerful. Because I in my family, that's being done. We don't have nobody that's sitting there just riding away and we ain't checking for them.
Let me ask you a question though, right? I mean, I know, but I want to put it out there, right? Mm-hmm. The experiences that you had, it actually made you put together a song, right? That goes along the same theme, right? So I think that this would be a perfect time right now to introduce the song.
Thank you,
so
brother.
we could play it, right? And then when we come back, what I want to talk about is, we talked a whole lot about the Rikers Island part. I want to talk more about the mature part, because Rikers Island we were immature.
That's right.
Right? When we went up north is when we got more mature, and then now we actually excel once we got our freedom. So I want to talk about the maturity part when you matured, and then how it is out here for you now as you got out. First, I want you to introduce your song so that way we could throw it on.
Well, coming home, I definitely had a vision, and part of my vision was sharing my message through music. So my first song is called Killer Code of Conduct, and the acronym for that is KKK. And some people feel some type of way that I would name a song KKK or have that acronym, but anybody that knows me knows I don't give a fuck about the Ku Klux Klan. And no fear in me whatsoever. I mean, and that's what it is. So I'm here to, if I could shift that acronym and snatch it with this song, it's just about awareness. It's no real beat. It's just it's a drum line and a hard tap. It's no features. It's no punching in. It's no ad-libbing. It's no auto-tunes. This is what I consider, hip-hop is. And, hopefully people could feel my love for hip-hop in the song. Killer Code of Conduct.
wanna learn? I teach you how to set rat traps, get rid of germs. Even if he your own flesh, you gotta turn, change faces. If he keep beating them fed cases, something fishy. Every morning he wake up pissy, leaning off that Grey Goose mix, his eyes shifty. He talk slicky, be moving his hands quickly. Anytime the street start talking, he start listening. It's the killer code of conduct. You wanna learn? I teach you how to set rat traps, get rid of germs. Even if he your own flesh, you gotta turn, change faces. If he keep beating them fed cases, something fishy. Every morning he wake up pissy, leaning off that Grey Goose mix, his eyes shifty. He talk slicky, be moving his hands quickly. Anytime the street start talking, he start listening. He start grinning, gold grill, Versace lenses, slide in right in under false pretenses. He got gwiddy, everybody think he a Willie. He be pushing that black M3 all through the city. He pimp bitches, catch him in the club while they stripping. Trick a little bread, then he introduce them to sniffing. He make them train till they understand their position. Then he send them to the strip to start winking and blowing kisses. Oscar actor, scripts a non-factor. He playing a part, so he flip him until he trap ya. He paying goons to follow and phone tap ya. Catch you when you snooze and yam you after they yap you. You didn't see it was all part of the plan. Funny thing about it, same nigga said he your man. It's the killer code of conduct. You wanna learn? I teach you how to set rat traps, get rid of germs. Even if he your own flesh, you gotta turn, change faces. If he keep beating them fed cases. I was raised with him, since the 3rd grade with him. Stomach would growl, hungry for whole days with him. We stopped playing, I entered the game with him. To get the blueprint, I listened to Jay with him. Hovey told us, rally up all the soldiers. Go out of town and crush them, pushing them boulders. They knock your hustle, just brush it up off your shoulders. But make it super ugly if killers killing New Yorkers. East Siders, Grand Beige wave providers. Knee deep in the South, apes deep beside us, and we all focus. Declining to drink, no drove smoking. Whipping that pot to the stove broken. Stripper stroking, pussy good but we don't get open. Pat her down to see if she wired or four-toting. It's serious, very little margin for error. Lessons from a general, now you ready as ever. It's the killer code of conduct. You wanna learn? I teach you how to set rat traps, get rid of germs. Even if he your own flesh, you gotta turn, change faces. If he keep beating them fed cases. Since the age of 7, I was destined to be a felon. Fascinated by 8s, 9s, 10s, 11s. Son of a reverend who shifted from God's presence deep into the house of horror, Lucifer's tenant, trapped up in it. And for a minute I was lost. Devil on my back, but I couldn't wiggle him off. He made me murder, kept telling me I was soft. My heart got so hard, killing became a sport. The young killer, big homie passed me the Miller. Taught me how to plant that lead deep in them dealers when they don't pay. And they got a spot getting skrilla. You send a goon to bomb the bill and Jose Padilla. It's the killer code of conduct. You wanna learn? I teach you how to set rat traps, get rid of germs. Even if he your own flesh, you gotta turn, change faces. If he keep beating them fed cases. It's the killer code of conduct. You wanna learn? I teach you how to set rat traps, get rid of germs. Even if he your own flesh, you gotta turn, change faces. If he keep beating them fed cases. It's the killer code of conduct. You wanna learn? I teach you how to set rat traps, get rid of germs. Even if he your own flesh, you gotta turn, change faces. If he keep beating them fed cases, something fishy. Every morning he wake up pissy, leaning off that Grey Goose mix, his eyes shifty. He talk slicky, be moving his hands quickly. Anytime the street start talking, he start listening. It's the killer code of conduct. You wanna learn? I teach you how to set rat traps, get rid of germs. Even if he your own flesh, you gotta turn, change faces. If he keep beating them fed It's the killer code of conduct. You wanna learn? I teach you how to set rat traps, get rid of germs. Even if he your own flesh, you gotta turn, change faces. If he keep beating them fed cases, something fishy. Every morning he wake up pissy, leaning off that Grey Goose mix, his eyes shifty. He talk slicky, be moving his hands quickly. Anytime the street start talking, he start listening. He start grinning, gold grill, Versace lenses. Slide in, right in under false pretenses. He got gwiddy, everybody think he a Willie. He be pushing that black M3 all through the city. He pimp bitches, catch him in the club while they stripping. Trick a little bread, then he introduce them to sniffing. He make them train till they understand their position. Then he send them to the strip to start winking and blowing kisses. Oscar actor, scripts a non-factor. He playing the part, so he flip him until he trap ya. He paying goons to follow and phone tap ya. Catch you when you snooze and yam you after they yap you. You didn't see it was all part of the plan. Funny thing about it, same nigga said he your man. It's the killer code of conduct. You wanna learn? I teach you how to set rat traps, get rid of germs. Even if he your own flesh, you gotta turn, change faces. If he keep beating them fed cases. I was raised with him, since the 3rd grade with him. Stomach would growl, hungry for whole days with him. We stopped playing, I entered the game with him. To get the blueprint, I listened to Jay with him. Hovey told us, rally up all the soldiers. Go out of town and crush them, pushing them boulders. They knock your hustle, just brush it up off your shoulders. But make it super ugly if killers killing New Yorkers. East Siders, Grand Beige wave providers. Knee deep in the South, apes deep beside us, and we all focus. Declining to drink, no dro smoking. Whipping that pot to the stove broken. Stripper stroking, pussy good but we don't get open. Pat her down to see if she wired or four-toting. It's serious, very little margin for error. Lessons from a general, now you ready as ever. It's the killer code of conduct. You wanna learn? I teach you how to set rat traps, get rid of germs. Even if he your own flesh, you gotta turn, change faces. If he keep beating them fed cases. Since the age of 7, I was destined to be a felon. Fascinated by age 9, 10s, 11s. Son of a reverend who shifted from God's presence. Deep into the house, a horror Lucifer sinning. Trapped up in it, and for a minute I was lost. Devil on my back, but I couldn't wiggle him off. He made me murder, kept telling me I was soft. My heart got so hard, killing became a sport. The young killer, big homie passed me the Miller. Taught me how to plant that lead deep in them dealers when they don't pay. And they got us by getting skriller. You send a goon to bomb the bill and Jose Padilla. It's the killer code of conduct. You wanna learn? I teach you how to set rat traps, get rid of germs. Even if he your own flesh, you gotta turn, change faces. If he keep beating them fed cases. It's the killer code of conduct. You wanna learn? I teach you how to set rat traps, get rid of germs. Even if he your own flesh, you gotta turn, change faces. If he keep beating them fed cases.
It's Styles, baby.
Get feels on the bit.